Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
Dust from the Saharan desert, over 6,000 kilometres away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air. When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
The rest of the country must not settle for scraps, while the fake elite up in the north enjoy the fat of our land. Tonight, I'm warning the boards and management of Republic Bank, First Citizens Bank, Exim Bank to sort themselves out. These institutions are not functioning in the best interests of our citizens. They operate in the interest of a few. Imagine this. This really happened. This is a true story. Imagine a 1%er walks into the office of Minister Jerry John. He comes in with a folder with paper. He puts the paper on the desk. And you know what is on that paper? Puts that paper and he tells her he wants land at Invaders Bay. He said he's getting a loan from Republic Bank to buy the land. Of course, at reduced discounted prices. And guess what? He's then getting a loan from the same Republic Bank to build a building. And then the same Republic Bank will rent the building from him to allow him to repay the loan and make a profit. This is a real story. That is what has been happening in secret behind closed doors under the former regime. Thank God you put us into office so we can expose them for their dealings. And this story, I tell you, I am told the same thing is happening at First Citizens Bank. There's no transparency, no fairness, just in-house deal-making. That is why I have instructed my ministers to fill all vacancies across all ministries. Fill them properly and transparently. Police Service Commission, Teaching Service Commission. Let's fill the vacancies across the service and create sustainable jobs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm told there are about 20,000 vacancies. We're working on bringing foreign investment. We're working on restarting the refinery, which will bring more jobs. So, my friends, I'm going to use our country's money to educate our children and create sustainable jobs.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choices: food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
All right, and thank you, Master Control. We are back. And of course, you did hear from the Monday Night Forum, Camden Coover, last Monday, the Honorable Prime Minister talking about that whole thing with the Republic Bank and what have you. It really and truly tells you quite a lot. Joining us is a lady who is no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant good evening to Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, the Honorable Khadija Amin. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mickie, and it's wonderful to be with you and, of course, all your listeners.
Thank you. First of all, I want to get this out of the way. We know that reports of being intimidated and threats coming out, I believe, from the fact of the freeze on the URP program. How are you? Are you keeping well? Are you
that
well?
Doesn't affect my work, Mickie. It is what it is. But if we don't take a stance to do the right thing in this country, we'll continue to have millions of dollars going into wastage. You'll have very few people benefiting, more and more people suffering. And especially at the time when the PNM has mismanaged the country so badly and we have the revenue stream, there's a challenge. The money that we do have, while our government works on increasing revenue, we have to ensure that the money that we are spending is being used for the right purposes. It's reaching to those in need, and that we are helping real people. So somebody has to take the hard decision, and I applaud Kamala Persad-Bissessar for taking that stand, stating that for her government in terms of going in there and dealing with some of the issues. And I'll tell you, as we go along, we are seeing so much more and more of the mismanagement and poor decisions and things that affected people so badly. And when they're telling people tighten their belt, it wasn't because they didn't have, it was because what it had, they were sending to who they want to send and leaving out other people. And even their own people, their own supporters, their own constituency suffered in those areas that they considered UNC stronghold and UNC safe seat. Of course, they would have left out. But even in the PNM areas as well, they neglected them, they abused them. And the result, well, on the 28th of April, it happened. But I really must applaud Kamala Persad-Bissessar for saying, let us bring back efficiency in our government service, whether you're cutting grass or you're doing something else, and let us have value for money with whatever money we are spending.
And do you think that her words would not really receive well because many people didn't understand? I mean, we're talking about a prime minister who is basically leading a socio-economic revolution by stating that, listen, I don't want citizens to be stagnant. I don't want you to just be placed in one area, but there has to be investment in human development, and not just for now, but for the long term as well. Do you think that some people are simply not getting it, or it has become a culture of comfort where people believe that these programs is a sort of God-given entitlement to them?
No, I think, what happened over time, people got comfortable, yes, with easy money. But on the other hand, that is really the medium-sized fish. The people who were, for instance, a CPEP contractor would have been happy because they get a bigger piece of the pie than a person cutting grass. And quite frankly, there are a lot of people who are on the program CPEP, URP, afforestation, as ordinary employees who want to do something else, want to do something better. They don't mind cutting the grass, but let us talk about development of their own well-being, their training, their capacity to have meaningful employment that will contribute to the economy of the country on a more long-term basis. So there are people who have potential, who would like to go back to school, who would like to go and study, but they're stuck in these programs because that is what is available. You know, so, and they would like to do better, but this is what it have. And we have to provide for that. So yes, we have to cut grass, but that doesn't mean that you must keep your grass cutters mentally and emotionally, you know, in some kind of slavery. People are more than that. And you cannot be giving people that type of work and paying them what the Prime Minister calls starvation wages, because they work for minimum wage for 4 hours a day. And truly, each of them would like to do better. They have families, these people have families. So you're paying them these starvation wages, and then on the books, they are considered employed. When you do your data and you collect your census and things, these people are reflected as employed. And it gives to me a false impression of the unemployment numbers. Because even when somebody is working for that smaller salary, they could barely send their children to school sometimes. So I think what the Prime Minister wants to do is for us to have meaningful employment, but also meaningful jobs. Whereas, yes, you might be cutting the grass or you might be cleaning a school, but you are also involved in your community. You are involved in, you know, in uplifting yourself as well. And that sense of pride is what we would want to have for our citizens. But I mean, there are many people who they hold on to the job because that is what they could get right now, but they have the potential and they have the ambition to do more.
Well, can we fairly say that those criminal elements that exist in the program are the ones who seem to be driving this sort of resistance? And, you know, you have people making videos and talking about it, because the people who want better, of course, would have a level of understanding that, listen, this may be some sort of a short-term sacrifice, but when everything is cleared up and everything is on stream, there's going to be accountability, there's going to be transparency, and most importantly, the program is going to be better suited to help the people who really and truly needs that help.
Quite frankly, I think the majority of citizens understand that the move to restructure those programs is a positive thing for Trinidad and Tobago. And there are two sets of people who are criticizing it. One is the political has-beens, those who were there, who were pocketing the money, those who were there giving their friends and family contract and just leaving the breadcrumbs to the people. And they are now trying to rile up these same people who they give breadcrumbs to try to rise to thing against this government. But I don't think that will work. It is rich coming from the likes of Faris Alwari and Penny Beckles to talk about these people who lost their jobs and whatnot, while they are not telling these people how much of their close friends and family had contracts and were going home with a bigger share of the pie. So they have no moral authority to speak about this thing because they are the ones responsible for the wastage. And then there's another group of people who see themselves as social activists, and some of them have been involved in the program and would have benefited from ghosts and so on, free money. And as far as they're concerned, they're trying to make a living. So if the big boy is running out with a big share of the pie, warm to them if they get a little slice of pie. That's the way they look at it. So they don't see anything wrong with working a ghost, having a card, a debit card, and being rostered as an employee, and you know you're not going to work, but you're getting it. But so what? There's a little bit of money, and them big boys taking more. That's how they justify it, which you can understand in terms of in their sense of fairness. Nothing is wrong with what they're doing. But the truth is that we also there are also people who don't know what's going on and just giving themselves mouth. But nonetheless, all that cannot stop us from taking the bulls by the horns, which the Prime Minister has done, and I support and applaud her for that. There are a lot of areas that local government has responsibility for that has passed to other agencies so that they could give contracts to the boys and the girls. And because of that, local regional corporations have been undermined, emasculated. They have had little resources. Sometimes they have workers and they don't have material for these workers. Sometimes they have workers and no tools, but they have to pay the workers. And then we complain about lack of productivity. If you don't have concrete and cement for them men to go and do construction, what you want them to do? They will cut a little bit of grass and go home by 8 o'clock, or even earlier, because they ain't taking the hot sun. They are construction workers, and skilled men are being underutilized in the local government system, in the regional corporations. And I'm saying for staff productivity, we must have material, we must have tools, we must have personal protection equipment, make sure men are properly organized, and you must have leadership and management. So while the government has undermined the regional corporations, it is my belief that regional corporations must be empowered to do the job that they are supposed to do.
And I'm glad you raised that issue, because the Honorable Prime Minister also stated, and I quote, if regional corporation workers cannot get their act together, do their jobs, and give an honest day's work, I will cut the funding to the corporations and redirect that money to other divisions that will do the work. Basically, she has read the Riot Act to these corporations, even, of course, calling out a mayor and asking, why is this being allowed?
Yes. So the thing is that while that conversation is happening in the national space, I have also been speaking to the unions, because the issue of productivity within the regional corporations is not something new. So as minister, I started the conversation with the unions responsible for the daily paid workers, and they too have their challenges, but they have given their commitment for us to work together to increase productivity. So thankfully that conversation started before the Prime Minister would have raised this issue, and I think her raising this issue has now lit a fire so that you're going to have the speeding up of it, because workers want to be, there are workers who want to be productive. Of course, they always have those who want to sign and go home, come to work in their white sneakers, they ain't cutting no grass, they ain't weeding no road. You know, it have those, they ain't going down in no drain, it have those, but by and large, most of the workers want to be more productive. So I think her statement, and giving that strong statement in terms of that leadership at the helm, has sent that strong message. So I continue to call on all of our employees, all the stakeholders, including the management and the unions, to work with us to increase our productivity. And also, I mean, that contributes to building and rebuilding our communities.
Now, you know, in the last administration, there was all of this talk being bandied around about local government reform. Reform this, reform that, putting in place some sort of program that would better deal with the collection of garbage, the maintaining of recreational grounds, cemeteries and what have we. Heard a lot about it, but yet still there was nothing put forward that anyone could say that was tangible, or even presented in any form or fashion that anyone could say that it had bettered their community. You being the local government minister, of course, what can we look for? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot on the drawing board, but give us an idea about all of these things that people have been asking for, with the hope that it's going to be improved.
Listen, I hear him talk about local government reform since Hazel Manning was the Minister of Local Government. And consultation, you know how much money they spend? If there's some of that money they spend on them consultation, they'd build a little box drain in our community to stop some flooding, it would be good. They have spent a lot of money on consultation, spending money to host big events and all these things, and all that is well and good. The truth is that the only real reform you had in local government was in 1990 when NAR brought in that Act 21 of 1990 that governs local government now. In 2013, you had the introduction of proportional representation, which allows all the votes in the region to count towards aldermen, apart from their vote for councillor. And what you have after that is a lot of talk. The municipal corporations, the miscellaneous act that they did the reform in 2021, they proclaimed one section of it. That was when they wanted to postpone the local government election. They changed the change of term from 3 years to 4 years. That's the only thing they proclaimed. Up to now, that's sit down collecting dust. And a lot of the things that they spoke about in that act, systems are not in place in the regional corporations to implement those. So you want them to do approvals where buildings are concerned, public health and so on. They don't even have the space to put the new staff. They don't have the new staff. They don't have equipment. They don't even have enough computers in some of them offices. And we have to build the capacity of the regional corporations and allow them to function. We have to allow them to have enough professional persons, to hire professional persons. Regional corporation is not just laborers and checkers, you know. There are spaces for professional persons, for engineers, for business management persons, for medical doctors, attorneys. So we must have those professional people at the regional corporation. So we will run a proper corporate entity as each corporation is. And getting the corporations back up to that level of productivity to me is important, because corporations also play a role in local economic development, and economic development on a whole is a critical issue for this government in terms of revenue generation, not just for the regional corporation, but providing spaces for small and micro entrepreneurs within each region, building the bigger economy around, and allowing the smaller and the micro economy to flourish. To me, that is also an important mandate of local government. Local government also plays a role with, in terms of national security. We're talking about stand your ground, protect your home. And we also have our policy in terms of standing your ground in your community, where you can have approval to have gated communities. So you want to keep your street safe, you want to restrict access from all kind of people coming in and out your street, you can do that legally. And all of that is part of local government feeding into the national mandate.
So basically what you're saying, that all that was sold to us about these new policies and programs, there really and truly, there was no space, or there was really nothing that could have been offered by the last administration.
It was a lot of mama guy, it was real mama guy, and the thing is, I mean, they did very little or nothing. So, I mean, you're talking about transformation, but you know what hurt me is, on the other hand, while you're talking about all these big dreams, nobody said, oh, dream big. But in the meanwhile, you're cutting off their foot. You're depriving them of funding that would, just for them to do their simple core functions, such as garbage collection, to have enough workers to go out there and clean the, not only our water courses, but if you think about all the public spaces, parks, recreation facilities, local tourist sites, all those are things that the corporation is responsible for cleaning and clearing, and they don't get to do it. They don't have equipment to go and clear the water courses that they need to clear to reduce flooding. So on one hand, you're talking about these grandiose plans. You want to make each corporation sound like utopia, but then what are you doing in terms of the practical thing when you cut off their funding? You have them, you reduce them to vagrancy. That's how I look at it. You have them begging, they have to beg somebody to them ULV machines to spray for mosquitoes. That's what they have reduced the corporations to, and thankfully many of our mayors and councillors have been resourceful in that way, getting to be able to stand with them and ordinary citizens. But the truth is that they have not been getting the resources and the guidance and the management that is required for them to really perform optimally.
Now, it's been 100 days, plus 100 days plus. What can you say is some of your best, accomplishments in that short space of time?
I think the major accomplishment we have is setting the tone in terms of performance in the regional corporation. We introduced with the heavy showers in the month of May, where we had that intense flood mitigation program, and we will continue that exercise to reduce flooding in the areas that we know have been flood prone. And there are many water courses that have not been cleaned and cleared in years that we have been attending to. We will continue that. We will also introduce a local economic development unit of the Ministry of Local Government that will coordinate the LEV units in every corporation, and they are mandated to do projects that will bring revenue to each corporation, but will also provide opportunities for small and micro entrepreneurs within the communities to earn a living. So that way we will begin to stimulate the local economy. We will also have litter prevention units responsible for litter wardens, as well as litter prevention initiatives such as garbage traps for water courses, clearing vacant lots, dealing with areas that have public health hazards. So that is the litter prevention unit. We will also, of course, be strengthening the corporation in terms of I have to say IT, computerization and so on, but building capacity in terms of having proper staffing to do what is required at the management level, and of course that provides jobs as well. So we will continue with these, but we also have, very interestingly, some security initiatives that works in tandem with the Ministry of Homeland, because keeping our communities safe also falls on the laps of the regional corporations.
Right.
Our recreation spaces must be available for mentoring and coaching programs that will keep young people off the streets, and we'll be working with the Ministry of Sports for that. The communities who wish to become gated communities to protect their homes from intruders will be able to do so with our new policies, which every regional corporation will have a step-by-step how to follow to give approval for that. And that will allow them to have that protection in their community, but also to allow all the public utilities and public resources to have access in a way that will not deprive the community of those things. So I'm very excited about that. That is part of the whole stand your ground move by this government, getting municipal police involved in our communities, but also getting communities involved with the authorities.
When you mention the as far as the digitalization of the corporations, whatever, that's very important. I want to tell you, I think that there still needs to be some data that needs to be gathered, because there have been complaints from people who say that their property does not exist on the corporation map. And
yes,
you know what is, please
so roads, there's a vesting order in each corporation, which is a document listing all the roads that fall under the corporation, all the recreation ground and open spaces and so on. So these public spaces have been vested in the corporation for the corporation to take care of. Some of these vesting orders are very old. They have to be updated. Some of these vesting orders would have been created before a road was fully established, and therefore that road is not recognized on the vesting order. And to me, having the vesting orders done over is a part of what we call our needs analysis, because we have been giving regional corporation money in a very arbitrary manner, and that is something I've discussed with the Prime Minister, and she has raised a lot of concern even in opposition, where there's this disparity in the funding to regional corporations. So some corporations get, when you calculate it, might be $1.08 per person for the region to do all the services, while other corporations get $10 plus per person, so that we use it a per capita check, right? But you can also check in terms of geography by kilometer. So there's no real method in terms of how you give how much funds to each regional corporation. And revising the vesting order will inform us how many kilometers of roads, of drainage, how many recreation facilities, parks, cemeteries, so that we will know the manpower requirement, and that also feeds into the employment aspect and the productivity aspect of it. So we have already started working on that, where our chairman and mayors, so there's an HR side, but there's also the civil side, where they're going to, you literally need to measure how many kilometers of roads fall in each region, and list all the bridges, the wooden bridges, the concrete bridges that are broken, and so on. So that will allow us, as I say, to say how many people we need. We can't just say we want to hire more labor and hire them and send them out to do the same thing, and then people will complain that they're weeding grass that's not there, when we do have a lot of work for them to do. So I've spoken to the unions about this. I've been speaking to our councillors and mayors about this, and this is an exercise that is long, long overdue, first, so that every person who has a public roadway should get it on the vesting order. However, there are going to be private roads. There are roads that fall within private developments, and sometimes people, they take a development, they don't develop the roads, and they sell the land and then leave the roads not developed, and the residents, people who buy the land, they are now going to the corporation. And those errant developers has always been an issue for regional corporations. When there's a private development, it is not the corporation's responsibility to develop. The corporation is to maintain. So a developer should develop his road, sell his land, and when it's handed over to the corporation, then it will be in the vesting order. But so we have a lot of now orphaned roads and so on. But we will deal with those. I'm not very concerned. We have to do it in a systematic way. And I really want that the work that we do is not for 5 years. It's not for while UNC is in government, things will run well. We have to put proper systems in place so that it will run better, because local government has been so badly treated over the last few years.
Yes, it has.
We really have to bring it out of that state of disrepair.
It has. All right. Anything on the bulletin board for the constituency? Any events? I think I saw something with emancipation. Anything happening? What's going on?
Yeah, yesterday we had a big, nice emancipation celebration in Oropun Gardens. It was wonderful, well attended. And of course, Professor Selwyn Kojo was our featured speaker, but we also had Mr. Wayne Sturge. We had the the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Dr. Ruth Narayan, brought greetings from the Ministry of Culture. Barbara Burke was there, and then we ended it off with a nice rhythm section, and people just come out and vibes, and we had authentic African food and things. So we have a committee, and I must commend them for that emancipation celebration. They are having a sports day on the 30th in Oropun Gardens, and we're working in each area. They have like teams and different colors, so we're going to have march past, football, everything on the 30th in Oropun Gardens. And of course I will continue where we are getting other communities. We have some activities in communities. I'm going into Monty Grant this week to do a special something with the children there. So we will continue to have our activities, and of course office day. Office days are usually very long, but sometimes I also do a little half-day office day. If I have meetings in Port of Spain from 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I spend the entire morning in the constituency. So my commitment to the people of St. Augustine remain. I know too that there are people from other parts of the country who come and they try to see me, but I have to prioritize. So I've been meeting some of them, yes, but I have to prioritize the St. Augustine people. And I advise persons, if you have an MP, go to your MP wherever you are. And if they need to refer matters to me in local government, then they will do that. But if they are trying to all come to my office because it's something related to local government, it will be counterproductive. So I urge people, find your MP wherever they are, go to your MP's office, and we all work together as a team. So, yeah?
Yeah. Is there an office number for those who may want to reach out to?
Yeah, we have our office number. We have a very active MP Facebook page. Our phone number is there. Our office is on Page Main Road. We work 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. Don't come and rough up the girls in the office. They are nice girls. Don't come and take out your frustration on these nice girls who work in my office. Sometimes people come and they're so frustrated to take out their frustration on people who in the office. No. Sit down, drink a cup of tea, and tell us your problem. But even if I'm not there, the girls in the office would usually treat with issues. Sometimes they process it without me even having to intervene. And when I come, they provide me with the information and I follow up on it. Yeah?
Wonderful. I want to thank you so much. Any closing comments?
Well, I just want to thank you for allowing us to highlight the 100 days of government in office. This has really changed the atmosphere in the country. People are feeling a sense of hope, a sense of relief, and we must continue this. The first 100 days, we have achievements in every single area of life that makes life easier for our citizens. I mean, we have licensed office, you have 100 new maxis getting bus route passes, increasing transportation, making it easier for people to get inspection for their vehicles. In terms of trade and the economy, there are so many initiatives. You have ExxonMobil signing this deep water thing with Trinidad and Tobago that will bring revenue to our country. You have 600 new people, interns coming into TSTT.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just remarkable. So much going on all around. So I'm really grateful for that. And I ask the people of Trinidad and Tobago, this is the government you voted for. Stand with us. We have a very compassionate Prime Minister, and we must not fall prey to the propaganda from those who have us in this position in the first place.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, and we'll be checking in with you periodically. Thank you so much again.
Okay. God bless.
Have a good one. Well, folks, that was the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, the Honorable Khadija Amin, and St. Augustine MP as well. And first 100 days, she's letting you know a lot has been taking place, and they're doing their job. As far as the URP, this government is standing strong and saying, listen, changes have to be made. The wanton wastage has to stop. The exploitation has to stop. And the program has to be developed once again to hit the core target, the people who really and truly need that help to grow. So it's something that's going to be dealing with the development of the citizens. So that says a lot. Take a short break, come back. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Neil Gosine, right here on The Observer. We'll be right back. When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choices, food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extract with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
For all top quality and affordable. And we are back. Thank you so much, Master Control. We are back. Folks, right here on The Observer. And joining us is a man who is no stranger to this program. Let me say a pleasant good evening to Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Neil Gosine. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mickie. I love your program.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to have you on. I know it's Sunday, but you know, we have to get the information out to the people. So we're on every Sunday now from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I had your colleague on, I don't know if you heard, the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, the Honorable Khadija Amin.
Yes, I was listening.
Excellent indeed. First 100 days, Dr. Gosine, you got in there. As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to visit you and Minister Maharaj, and I must say you guys are very busy. It's like, you know, as one team walks out, another team comes in. How has it been? Because I get the impression that absolutely nothing much was going on prior to this administration coming in, and you're actually meeting people who are saying, listen, I've been here several times, I spoke to the former minister, I spoke to this one, nothing was getting off the ground, but now you seem to be, you and of course the minister, very accommodating and more than willing to work with those people who want to get their business going. Please share with us.
Yes, that's the general sentiment that before nothing was happening, we take the view of seeing everyone and listening and being very proactive. In fact, we have seen over 250 people already, you being one of them. And we looked at key investors and key projects. I can name a couple to give you an example. Sure. For example, we are looking at company that came in recently and bought up, well, they've been knocking on the door for about 3 years now. They bought up the Asa Metal plant and they're trying to revamp the iron and steel manufacturing in Trinidad and Tobago, which consists of $130 million investment, 800 in jobs in construction, another 500 to add once operational. We are looking also at a solar glass plant out of China, which is supposed to bring about $200 million in investment and another 1,200 jobs. We are also looking at a manufacturing plant for converting brown sugar to white sugar and an ethanol facility. They already have, this consists of they will not need any power or gas itself. They will need power, of course, but not gas from NGC. So this one looks like it could be get going very soon. So what I would say is that in the last 100 days, we have looked at several things. One of them is, again, for global trade expansion. We have signed an agreement with Chile, a partial scope agreement. We have done a port community system which integrates customs and BizLink. That is the BizLink out of our ministry to cut clearance time for goods. We are looking at direct airlift between Piarco and Accra. We have had bilateral talks with Ghana. we are looking at trade missions and export fair to Accra with small to medium-sized business and to access their market. We are looking to propose a duty-free trade with Ghana, expanding towards CARICOM, ECOWAS, and an African agreement, which gives us a potential market of 1.3 billion people, which is tremendous, Mickie.
Yeah.
We are looking at a transatlantic trade hub linking Latin America and the Caribbean with Africa. We are actually looking, and we have been working with the Ministry of Transport as well. And we are looking at a direct flight from DR, Dominican Republic, and Trinidad and Tobago, and that is Aerojet. This is all to expand agriculture. This is all to expand, tourism and cultural development in Trinidad and Tobago, a sharing of minds. We have been looking at, and this is a project that is ongoing and should be, it has already started and it should be completed in the next year or so, which is a Maracas hotel uplift. It's a private investor that has bought the Maracas hotel. They invested about $80 million, and it's we are dealing with it from the tourism side. One of our plans that we are very excited about and was mentioned in the UNC manifesto is a carnival city. So we are planning a carnival city to be built either in Port of Spain or wherever we could allocate the land. A steering committee has been formed with the IDB, and cultural icons are involved. It should include a UNESCO World Heritage Status certificate. We are thinking about Queen's Park, but of course we have to get approvals. And what we are thinking about there for a carnival city is an all year round carnival city where tourists and people of Trinidad and Tobago can go and actually see how they make mask, bending of the iron, learn to play pan, sample the various foods of Trinidad and Tobago all year round, and visit the fashion of carnival itself, and also calypso and soca mona competitions. So that is something that we are really looking for to boost the tourism.
Well, I can say this for sure, and I'm sure many people who are locked on can say that you've been working along with the minister. You have been working, and this is something that I think brings a lot of information that people have not realized. That you see, and that's the thing. These things are not on the headlines, or they're not some narrative that is being created so people could understand. I mean, you're talking about, for example, just one venture, 800 jobs. And I mean, that's basically what we want to hear. We want to make sure that when these things are here and available, that the citizens benefit. And there's also a training that there's going to go along to help people who want to get involved. You spoke about tourism, and I know that you mentioned something recently in the newspaper about the Maracas beach chair vendors to be regularized soon. You said the management of the vendors, all the vendors on the beach fall under the Ministry of Works, however, but there's no formal contract between the vendors and the Urban Development Company, which is UDICOT. You know, when you look at that, and many people talk about the fact of domestic tourism, that enough is not being done to highlight what Trinidad and Tobago has to offer. And I must give credit to a lot of these creators, these content creators now, who are actually doing some great work, putting out some work out there, and telling us about the locations and beaches and what have you. Is this something that is close to your heart, that you really and truly want to work in developing?
Yes, it is, Mickie. And I must say that my minister is also very supportive, very hardworking. He reaches very early in the morning. I have to match the time he reaches the office, 8 a.m., and most of the time we don't leave the office until 8 p.m. He's very supportive of all these projects. He comes up with some brilliant ideas, and I support him completely. yes, the Maracas situation is close to my heart, and it's also close to Philip Alexander's heart and Wayne Sturge. And we all met there last week, Wednesday, where we viewed what was going on the beach. We spoke to some of the vendors, the chair and 10 vendors, and like I said, it falls under Unicot, which manages the vendors. The beach itself falls under tourism, which falls under our ministry.
Right.
So this is something we are looking at to regularize and to really make sure that it is that companies and young people that are involved in the tent rental and chairs actually have a proper company. They follow the steps properly, and it makes the beach going for the visitors a much better experience, where they will have a spot. If they want, they could go and get the chairs, but it wouldn't block up a normal bather that will come, or a visitor that just wants to sit on the beach with their family and have a picnic and enjoy the view of the ocean, or bathe in the ocean. This is something that has, if you go there now, you will see how much chairs and tents that are spread across the beach, and it actually blocks people. And we want to really see that this is done in a more orderly manner now.
Yeah, you just had a very successful TIC, which was the trade show. I'm sure you've done the post-mortem on it. I don't know if you can share some of that information, but I know it definitely was well attended, and I think it sent a very clear message regionally and internationally that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business. But again, you would hear people talk about sometimes the bureaucracy and the red tape as far as getting things done and getting things started. I believe your ministry has been working to assist and to let people understand the process is not as painstaking as many would believe it to be.
Yes, in fact, this has been the most successful TIC in the history. 350 people took place, manufacturers and businesses took place in that event, the most ever. That's to show their confidence in Trinidad and Tobago and coming here to launch their business, as well as $1 billion US, it was reported, was traded during that whole TIC convention. So it was very successful. I did speak to the president of TIC and the TTMA several times, and we're looking forward to bigger and better things. The minister took a day and he visited 350 booths that day. I also was there following him all around. So I myself visited 350 booths. So it was incredible. The products you see and the packaging and the quality is world class. And yes, it shows that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is that, and something that was developed under our ministry, is something called SEZ, which is a special economic zone. Right. So there's a state company falls under our ministry called Special Economic Zone Agencies, which provides like a free zone to companies that comes in, international companies that require to import their goods. They will need tax breaks. They will need also tax breaks on land, to buy the land, and corporate taxes. All that are reduced once you get this FEZ license that is granted. And it takes about $3 million US investment, and it also depends on the amount of jobs you're bringing in. So recently, we just gave one foreign company out of Germany a first SEZ license, and it's something we want to expand as we go forward. Another thing we are looking at is upgrading the Caroni Racing Complex and repurposing stranded assets to create a world-class convention center and hotel through public-private partnership. If you look across Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of stranded assets and underutilized assets. And I could name many across Trinidad, and we have buildings that just stand there
Yeah.
Government doesn't use it. It's government building. We have if the Caroni gantry that is opposite the cremation site in Caroni cost us 1.2 billion and is not fully operational by NGC. If you remember that big white elephant that we have there.
Yeah.
I think it's very minimally used, and I think they just use it for aviation fuel. It cost the country $1.2 billion approximately, and it's underutilized. It was designed originally to be the distribution hub of all fuel throughout the country to all the gas stations. And it was state of the art to fill the trucks, the tankers, by underfilling it instead of filling it from on top. It was supposed to be world class, it's stranded. We have many stranded assets throughout the country, and you name it, in Chagaramas, you name it, across the country. It's something, even you see all the derelict police cars and buses that we have across. If we could repair these things and repurpose it, it will go a long way. So these are some of the things that we are looking at. One of the things that has hit us hard recently was the U.S. tariff that they have introduced on some of our products in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is what the government, Ministry of, our Ministry of course, and Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Foreign Affairs is trying to deal with, and meeting with U.S. officials to try and remove that 15% tariff. And it has hit particularly the ammonia products, the methanol and urea in our energy industry, and that is what we really want. It doesn't affect oil and those products, but these downstream products, which we are high producers of, and into the U.S. market, it has hit us terribly with that. So those are the things that we've been working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to try and see how we could remove that and continue trading profitably for our manufacturers with the U.S.
And you know, one of the big questions will always be, what about the SMEs? I know the last time I spoke to yourself and the minister, that was a very much a top priority. Are there plans on the agenda to increase or provide more assistance to SMEs?
Yes, we have several projects, especially with SMEs, and I encourage people to come in to our ministry, which you yourself have come in and speak to us. We have a team of people there, and there is a company called Global TT, which is another state company that falls under our ministry. And that company helps SMEs to get off the ground if they require licensing, if they require making connections to get lands or even to get into our parks, like Phoenix Park and the various parks we have across the country, to access land and warehousing. It helps them. So it's really cradle to grave to help you set up your company. And there are also grants you can access and tax breaks that this company, Global TT, can help you with. So I encourage you to do that. And one of the final things I wanted to mention is that we, in the manifesto, Kamala Prasad-Bisesa, our Prime Minister, who has always been compassionate and always pro-business, have told us about increasing the age from 3 to 6 years for foreign used car dealers. And this will restore and help the people of Trinidad and Tobago to get cheaper access to cars. It will save them money as they go forward. And our ministry also intends to lay this very soon in cabinet and to give relief for the age of vehicles, because the previous government had decrease the age from 5 to 3 years, which makes the cars much more expensive. So it's a campaign promise that will be delivered. Citizens can see a promise being honored. Within the first year of the new administration, hundreds of dealers with the Trinidad and Tobago Automotive Dealers Association aligned, and they endorsed it already. It is high impact savings for each citizens between $20,000 to $50,000 per vehicle per year. So that will directly impact households. And it demonstrates that the ministry is pro-business, pro-customer, and responsive to the industry concerns.
Wonderful.
So that we want to complete very soon, within the next month, and make sure it's rolled out.
And let me ask you again, Global TT, that entity, do they walk through the entire process with you from A to Z exactly? Let's just say you're looking for property to do renewable energy or recycling, as the case may be. Will they be able to assist you along those lines?
Yes, of course, there will be. And there's also e-tech as well, so that falls under us. So they will link you to other companies, state companies, and they will help walk you through what you require with, let's say, the Ministry of Finance, or what you require for licensing, or what you require in other areas and other ministries. So that company will help you develop your investment. That is what it is there for.
Wonderful. Well, I must say you've been working. The entire government has been working, and that's the thing about it. And any closing comments?
No, I just want to say that we are happy to have a change in government, of course, and to be under this administration and under the leadership of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. And yes, we have a hard taskmaster, and we are working. We want to continue to work. And with my ministry, my line minister, and with leadership with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, we will make a difference, and we will make Trinidad and Tobago strong again.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Gosine, for taking time out and enlightening us this evening. A lot of information, a lot of vital and crucial information, and I know that the listening public is going to just be so excited knowing that these things are on the drawing board, and many of them, of course, are just about ready to start operating. So again, hats off to you, and we expect, of course, to hear more as we go along. I'll be checking in with you periodically, and again, thank you so much for taking time out and sharing this information with us.
Thank you for having me so much, Mike.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So there you go, folks. The Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Neil Gosine. Look at that, the ArcelorMittal plant. Somebody is taking a large investment, 800 jobs. A solar glass plant out of China, an ethanol facility. You're talking about flights directly from the DR, Dominican Republic. For those of you who don't know, the Dominican Republic has come up as one of the top tourism spots, especially for those folks in North America and of course in Europe. That the DR is a very popular spot at this time. He spoke about the Maracas Hotel uplift, something I know that Errol Fabian is going to be happy about, the Carnival City, and they're already looking at the funding from the IDB. We talked about domestic tourism, what's going on with Maracas, the Caroni Racing Complex, and making it quite clear that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business. And those foreign used cars, 3 to 6 years. So a lot is taking place, and that Global TT can walk you through the process as well. So things are happening. You don't see them on the headlines. Whatever is negative, you don't see it, of course, across social media. You'll see people making videos and they're cussing and they're talking and they're bad talking or what have you. Why? Because they can't have access to free money anymore. They can't have it their way anymore. They can't have people, they can't exploit people anymore. So they're upset. And they have a problem. But the government is working, and that's the fact, and you can't take that away from it. And it was a pleasure hearing from Dr. Neil Gosine on this matter. Short break. When we come back, we're talking to consumer rights advocate Mr. Trevor Houston, what is going on with these banks, and he is going to share some of these stories. And of course, you heard the Honorable Prime Minister at the last Monday night report. Master Control, run it again for us, please, where she spoke about the banks, and it makes you wonder, how come the average citizen doesn't have that kind of privilege? We'll be right back.
The rest of the country must not settle for scraps, while the fake elite up in the north enjoy the fat of our land. Tonight I'm warning the boards and management of Republic Bank, First Citizens Bank, Exim Bank to sort themselves out. These institutions are not functioning in the best interests of our citizens. They operate in the interest of a few. Imagine this. This really happened. This is a true story. Imagine a 1%er walks into the office of Minister Jillian John. He comes in with a folder with paper. He puts the paper on the desk. And you know what is on that paper? Puts that paper and he tells her he wants land at Invaders Bay. He said he's getting a loan from Republic Bank to buy the land. Of course, at reduced discounted prices. And guess what? He's then getting a loan from the same Republic Bank to build a building. And then the same Republic Bank will rent the building from him to allow him to repay the loan and make a profit. This is a real story. That is what has been happening in secret behind closed doors under the former regime. Thank God you put us into office so we can expose them for their dealings. And this story, I tell you, I am told the same thing is happening at First Citizens Bank. There's no transparency, no fairness, just in-house deal making. That is why I have instructed my ministers to fill all vacancies across all ministries. Fill them fully and transparently. Police Service Commission, Teaching Service Commission. Let's fill the vacancies across the service and create sustainable jobs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm told there are about 20,000 vacancies. We're working on bringing foreign investment. We're working on restarting the refinery, which will bring more jobs. So, my friends, I'm going to use our country's money to educate our children and create sustainable jobs.
That's right, educate the children and citizens to get sustainable jobs. Joining us is a man who is a true fighter. Always a pleasure to have him on the program. He's no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant and a blessed Sunday afternoon to consumer rights advocate, Mr. Trevor Houston. Good afternoon, sir.
A pleasant good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for having me in the program again. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Well, I just played the clip there with the Honorable Prime Minister talking about, you know, someone going and getting a loan. And then, of course, to build a building and rent out the building to the same bank that they've obtained the loan from. You know, when you look at it, Trevor, I mean, I just to read part here of veteran journalist Ken Ali. He says, predators still in paradise. Banks oppressive fees and charges. In October 2002, the prestigious Time magazine carried a startling expose of commercial bank greed in Trinidad and Tobago under the headline, Predators in Paradise. Time told the story of corporate fraud worth hundreds of millions of dollars and merchant banker, our friend Vet Sierram, relentless campaign for fair play and justice. And notably, the daily press never reported on Sierram's crusade. Apart from letters from aggrieved customers, the daily newspapers have never highlighted the erroneous charges, even as banks' profits sailed to historic levels. And we know the operations. I mean, you know as well, Trevor. I mean, who else could take a piece of squatting land and turn it agriculture, then turn it homestead, then turn it domestic, and then turn it commercial, and before you know it, a large-scale mall is being built, and peppercorn rates when it comes to taxes, and they get away with it. Now we have a prime minister who is saying, listen, hold up, I am asking for equity across the board, and I am going to lead a new socio-economic revolution in Trinidad and Tobago. Is it needed? Is it too late? What can we expect?
It's never too late, and I admire this prime minister we have there because she operates in a way where she feels the pain of the masses. It is not a case like in the old regime, it's all about me and me and me alone. I admire this prime minister, and I know she's going to put all out where possible to make sure that we live in a different society to that which we have become accustomed to.
And you're so right. And let me just share this information with the people, and of course, you coming on here. The Minister of Finance, Minister of Finance, Devendarat Tanku, said he plans to meet with the banking sector in response to yet another reduction in the US dollar spending limit on credit cards. This time, Republic Bank has imposed another cut on its spending limits, its third cut since 2021. On August 15th, Republic Bank announced it will reduce its maximum US dollar spending limit per billing cycle to US $2,500. This will be a 50% reduction from its current spending limit of US $5,000.
Right. That is for the masses, but like they have their select group of people who can get any amount of money they want. I met a business entrepreneur recently telling me everybody fighting to get money, but he have no problem getting money from the bank. So it's a great disparity there, Mike, that people are not getting the US dollars that they're supposed to get. People of the SMEs, I should say, especially the poor ones of the SMEs, they are not getting the money that they're getting. But the other corporate companies, large companies here, does not have a problem getting foreign exchange at all. And I think that is a great disadvantage because you cater into the smaller minority and forgetting the massive majority outside. The people who are struggling and trying to make it, who are honest and trying to put things together, buy a piece of land, do a little wholesale trade, buying, selling, retail trade, whatever they want to do. And it's a great disadvantage to them for the disproportionate way in which forex is being distributed. And they are aware of that. The last regime couldn't care how much complaints you make about it. They did absolutely nothing about it. It's time overdue that we do something about it at this point in time. I don't know what's going to come out of the meeting with with Minister Tanku. I really don't know, but he should put his foot down and ensure that they get some constructive answers to some constructive questions.
Yeah, but and we have to look at it based on the fact that how it is that consumers feel. I mean, many of us look at banks very cagey, and we say, listen, it's not friendly. Most of the times when the bank wants their money, they go about the process in not a manner to call you in and say, listen, you've been a long-serving customer. You've been able to see you rise from one level to the next. Tell us what's the problem. Perhaps we can work with you. We can help you. I look at the status that you have up, and it says that if you have a gun, you can rob a bank. But if you have a bank, you can rob everyone. Is it fair?
And get away with it too. You're not only robbing, you're getting away. And we have had this discussion so many times, Mikey boy. People are not standing up. I think part of the grave problem contributing to the inefficiencies going on in the financial sector is that the massive population, the ones that we're supposed to look out for, the one whose vast majority of savings structures the financial sector here. And nobody seems to care about them at all, but they of themselves are not making they're not putting any foot forward in their silence to say, listen to me. This is what I'm going to do. I want to get your help and your cooperation. That does not happen. That does not happen. There was a time when I was young in the business world, maybe 30, 40 years ago, banks used to take pride and pleasure in printing a name on their letterhead. And so if you deal with them, you're proud to say I deal with bank X, Y, Z, and so on. Now, greed has exceeded every facet of the banking sector in Trinidad, or I should say of the economic landscape. Insurance companies, also credit unions now, long ago, credit unions will sympathize and empathize and lift you up where the major bank have let you down. They are just as greedy as the banks now. They need a shake-up also as part of the contribution to the financial sector.
And you're right. And it seems that it's all led and driven by greed. You know, when you look at it, none of the newspapers raised any sort of issue when some 6,000 small businesses had to go under during the heights of the COVID-19 pandemic, unable to service bank loans, rehire workers, replenish stocks, you name it. They just couldn't get it done. And again, many of these SMEs, and even at that time, you had a minister in that administration who said that the SMEs are the backbone, the financial backbone of the economy. But yet still, the treatment meted out to them has always been totally unfair and just scant courtesy.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think part of the problem too, where greed is concerned, is that a lot of shareholders they would not come out publicly and complain about the bank. Because when I was very active in my consumerism, not one will come out, and for the very mere reason that, listen, they want their dividends. They don't care what it costs to get their dividends, what disenfranchisement they will have with the society, who's going to get upset. They just stay quiet, let the bank actually steal from the masses, roll it over and roll it over and roll it over, and they do nothing about it. The newspapers who has not highlighted the iconic Time magazine saying predators in paradise, they are shareholders. And sometimes they are on the same board. They are the same fraternity, more or less, just as the banking executives are one with the governor of the central bank and so on. That is how the system operates. It's a club. We are in the club. We are well secured. The top men of the financial sector, their salaries $1.2 to $2.3 million a year. You understand? They have company car, they have company home, they have everything at their disposal. But they are, in order for them to stay on their high horses, this is what they have to do. Keep as quiet as possible, but they are all of one fraternity.
And you did mention, of course, it really and truly is important to have the proper leadership, someone at the helm who understands that the pain that the masses are going through. Because at the heights of that COVID pandemic, the then Prime Minister never called in these banks, these institutions and said, listen, I want you to do better. I want you to understand that there needs to be some sort of relief when it comes to credit card deferrals, small business support, no early withdrawal penalties, and you name it, overdraft fees and what have you. As a matter of fact, at that time, one opposition member had stood up and said, listen, look what they're doing in Barbados. And that individual was ridiculed and said, if you don't like it here, then go live in Barbados. But Mia Motley said she called in the banks and they were able to come to an agreement to make sure that the full brunt of that economic hammer didn't fall on her citizens. So again, it's very important, the person who is sitting at the helm of our affairs, to have an understanding what people go through at any given time with these institutions.
That is why Mia is so well respected, highly loved all over the world. That is why she is in control of every single parliamentary seat her party has won on 2 consecutive terms compared to our predecessor Prime Minister here. You know, Mike, the main thing here, you know who props up the banking sector? The vast savings account of the vast majority, you know, that is, let's say, the 92% that the bank will take to lend to the 4%, the 5%, even the 1%. At better terms, better conditions, that sort of stuff. But unless I've been calling about banks since I was more heavy in consumerism for the last 30 years. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. I got the banking ombudsman, I got the bankruptcy act. We need a bankruptcy act. You know, another hindrance to successful entrepreneurs is this long-time thing where you have not paid your rent in the mall, you're going through financial problems. They're going to put an ad in the papers by, you know, they will soon put a soon ad in the papers for you saying that you're in arrears and they have shut down your business for lack of funds. These are long-time things. These are long-time things. They just had one out on a company I know very well. They have been in Twin City Mall for 42 years, and they got into financial difficulty like many before them. And you don't do this kind of thing to embarrass people, and that is why a bankruptcy protection is so important. I have to write the AG about it because I got that banking ombudsman from Patrick Manning, who I asked for it. I got it immediately, but it's sitting on the shelf somewhere. I have to make some time and revert to the AG and say, listen, you need to bring this thing forward. If we have, and you have heard me say this, if we had the bankruptcy in operation today, CLICO would have been around today. My dear friend Lawrence would have been around today. The economy would have been stronger today. And let me throw a little bit of racism inside here. If Osteo Pandey was in power, the economy would have been better, CLICO would have been saved. If Kamla was in power at full control at that point in time for the duration of the bankruptcy or the forced bankruptcy, Lawrence Dupree would have been around today, healthy as ever. He would have gone through a little turmoil, rise back up. But if you look at the Commission of Inquiry, Mikey, there's not one negative thing said about Lawrence Dupree.
That's right. That's right.
There's not one negative thing. He has not done anything that any major company in the United States has failed to do or has done because they've got government support. And our only support is to go and sink you one time. And these are the issues. I'm not straying from the point, but these are part of the destructive issues that is keeping the SMEs from thriving, keeping mainly the African population from prospering. There are a lot of things we need to look at, and I'm glad that this Prime Minister is taking the steps that she's taking right now.
And I agree with you, Trevor, 100%. The question has to be, why can't we have transparency and fairness? Why? I mean, why is it that we can't go and shop around and say, listen, what are your interest rates? What are you offering? If I leave money in an account, are you just going to go ahead and take it out interest rates to the point that, you know, there's a service fee, there's a service charge? What are you offering me on overdrafts? All of these things. You know, and this whole perception that you want to sell to me that all the criminal elements wear their pants under the waist and they're walking around with guns. Listen, the true gangsters, the real gangsters are the ones who sit there in those AC rooms and have these meetings and at no time have a sense of compassion that the people that you're milking dry, that you're giving back nothing to them. Perhaps their corporate responsibility is to have a marathon or to have some fundraiser, but that does nothing for the people who are there ensuring that their money, their hard-earned savings, go into these institutions and they get absolutely nothing in return. As a matter of fact, I told somebody, I mean, the worst thing is if you even have to probate a will, because they will tell you, listen, you had to open a special account, and that would be a probate account. Now, it takes some time to open. If you think living is bad, try dying with these institutions. It's 100 times worse. When can we demand, and when is it that we can get fairness and transparency and equity across the board?
We have to stop demanding now, Mike. We have to take greater action. We had a Prime Minister who said the poor have to support the rich. Not that the rich should support the poor and, you know, make loans easier for them, take them under the wings and show them, you know, successful methods that they have used that brought them to that pinnacle of success where they are right now. And I think I don't want to be radical or strong radical, but sometimes peace is necessary. Sometimes war is necessary to bring peace. And if they are milking us dry, why do we want to continue to take it? Why can't we shut down? Why can't we close down? We have called for enough meetings, enough conferences, enough this, enough that. But guess what? We are what they use for pawn broker lending. You want a car, we'll give the car as collateral. You want to buy a piece of land, the land is collateral. You want to take out a home, but we can give you the mortgage. If you don't pay, we take it back. But it's still like taking a risk on you. Every single state in the United States, all the banks are required to have small business loans. To tutor young people coming up in business, some from school, from college. They are there to support them, not only with the financial means, but with structural systems to get them on their feet. We are tired complaining. I am tired complaining. It's time for some serious action now. And I will repeat this thing sometime. War is necessary to bring peace. Look at the war Makandal Daga had to do in 1970 to change the banking sector here. If he was using fine words and eloquent phrases, he would never have accomplished what he have accomplished here. If he had kept quiet, take what the bank gave him and go home and say, this is how it is, he would have never achieved what he have achieved for you and me and our children and our grandchildren. We have to do more.
I agree. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
We have the power. We should know how to use the power we have. Let me tell you something. The banks are nothing without us. But we are like rice grain. They may seem a grain or 2 or 3 of rice grain is not important. But to get a good meal, you need a couple to make it successful. And that is what we have to pay attention to. The value we have, the value we bring to the economic landscape, the value we bring to the banking sector, who can rob us blindly and be just sitting down and doing quiet and doing nothing about it. It's about time.
It's about time. Thank you so much again for taking time out to link with us this Sunday evening. Keep up the good work, and I will be checking in with you because this issue is, it keeps going on, and we are not tired. We are not fed up. We are going to highlight it, and I want to thank you for your courage and the fact that you're always there when I call upon you to deal with these issues and the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, and I feel blessed having this particular Prime Minister here with a compassion for the poor. I feel a love and a concern for that at the moment.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Short break. We'll be right back.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now, 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented, green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
If you live with diabetes, your pancreas works overtime every single day. Between our rich foods and busy lives, chronic inflammation can sneak in, stressing the pancreas and raising the risk of complications. Over time, inflammation can damage these cells, making blood sugar harder to control.
Protecting your pancreas from inflammation is a smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids, proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products. Tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
Dust from the Saharan desert, over 6,000 kilometers away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Cane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now, 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water taps, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
And tonight, I'm warning some persons. You know who you are. You're already cavorting with the same crooked contractors and lawyers and P&M financiers and corrupt fake elite. Get yourselves out of that now, because I will come for you. I'll come for you. I'll have the AG backing me up. I will come for you. Stop it. You have already forgotten the loyal rank and file UNC people who worked hard to put you in office. Remember that. Remember that. First, you keep doing that and try to facilitate their continued corruption. I warn you, and I am not afraid. I will fire you. I will ensure you face the courts. I will ensure we cannot replace one corrupt bunch and then trump and follow suit. And that's why I ask you to understand, we cannot complain about the ghosts in the CPEP. And then you are on our throats, you just want to replace those ghosts with your ghosts. It can't work like that. It must not work like that. It will not work like that. All will benefit. We have programs, we have plans. I give you the commitment today. I will ensure that the most vulnerable are taken care of first. That is my pledge to you tonight. The AG likes to say he will go to war with you. But if you continue that kind of behavior, patterning from the PNM, I am not going to war with you. I'll bust your head. Should you do it? I'll bust your head. The UNC rank and file, and I, and many, worked too hard to put us back into government. For some people to be now favoring the same corrupt, eat-a-food fake elite. Lyman and Hyatt, Lyman, some restaurant up in town, people would never sit at the same table with you. You are now seen in Port of Spain, sitting at those tables. Learn your lessons. They will carry you, but they will not bring you back. I will open that UWI campus. We together will open that campus so more of our children will have access to tertiary level education at affordable prices, all the way from the South Peninsula down in La Brea and Point 14 on the southeast coast coming down. They can all converge at that DB campus and don't have to come up and take spaces at St. Augustine. Let the people up on the corridor here and in the north, they will have more spaces opening to them at St. Augustine. So that the south and central people can come down to the South DB campus. We will get it done for 10 years. Out of spite, malice, wickedness, I can't find the right words. You kept that university shut. It was about 95% complete, shut down for 10 years. I tell you, the money that we make, we'll use it for laptops. I commit again today, your children will get their laptop when school reopens. I know many of you are worrying about school books. Well, let me tell you something. Yes, books are very important. The Minister of Education says they have a program. The MPs and councillors are working to help you with your books and so on. But you see that laptop? It's not just going to be a laptop to play the games that Mr. Sturge told us about. What was it? Name some of those games they play. Minecraft and blah, blah, blah. Okay? We are going to put real craft, not Minecraft, into those laptops so that the need for the books will not be as tremendous as it appears to be. You're going to get, Minister of Education is working on it, Dr. Dowlat, you're going to get work, school work on those laptops. You will be online. You will be amongst the world's best educated children. So never fear, because Kabla is here.
That's right. Never fear. Never fear. Folks, at this point, we did, of course, have the Minister of Culture and Community Development, the Honorable Michelle Benjamin. She wanted to do the interview, but she's not 100%. I told her, get some rest. Get some rest. I really and truly, we applaud your commitment and your dedication, but at the same time, you're only human. And so she's a bit under the weather. She had quite an active weekend, of course, with the launch of Carnival taking place on Friday gone, and other activities as well in the constituency. So she's a bit under the weather. I told her just, get some honey and lime and get some medication. And when you're up and moving, perhaps next Sunday, and she said next Sunday is fine. So I just want to let you know that yes, she did, of course, answer the call, but she is under the weather. And it happens. These are things that happen. But just to remind you that Probiotic XL combines 3 innovative strategies to restore balance to your digestive system. Probiotic XL contains 11 important probiotic strains, protective shield technology, and clearphage that all together make it one of the best probiotics on the market. And Probiotic XL promotes digestive health and immunity by supporting growth of good bacteria and neutralizing harmful ones. So the lines are open. Again, we heard from the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, the Honorable Khadija Amin, talking about different programs and, of course, giving us the reality when it comes to this entire thing that was being sold to us as local government reform. She said the space wasn't there, the resources were not there, so it really truly did not make sense. It wasn't going to amount to anything. And she spoke about things that need to be put in place in order for this to be efficient, whether it be garbage collection, taking care of infrastructure, taking care of cemeteries and play recreational parks, all of these things. She spoke about the URP and making it quite clear that the program will, of course, be revamped. The entire objective is to ensure that the people who rely on the program is going to have a bigger play in it, and not the extortion and not the criminal elements that were spoken about and mentioned, but definitely to deal with the human development of many of these people who are part of the program. So I want to thank you for that. Parliamentary Secretary, of course, in the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Neil Gosain. He spoke about, the ArcelorMittal plant, large investment, someone's buying it over, 800 jobs. He spoke about a solar glass factory that is going to be set up, a plant by I believe Chinese investors, by the Chinese ethanol facility, domestic tourism, regional tourism, and of course many of the other programs such as E-Tech and Global TT. Those are things that you can turn to as part of the Ministry of Trade that provide for SMEs and people with the entrepreneurial spirit to get involved, and they will walk you through the entire process. And of course, you just heard from consumer rights advocate Mr. Trevor Hostin, enlightening us and telling us, listen, the time has come. There's a great leader to help, someone with vision and someone who has the compassion to understand what the masses is going through. So again, 225-9790, 225-9790. And if you want to make a WhatsApp call, you can call 494-0938, 494-0938, and get on the inside. And again, I want to thank all the guests that we had. And this is where the information is, and we're going to be sharing it with you. Again, these things don't make the headlines, because I guess anything that deals with the development of citizens and getting them the interests that they're looking forward to is not going to sell newspapers. So you don't see this on the headlines. But again, a lot of work has been done in just the first 100 days. So I know there's a lot more on the agenda and there's a lot more that people would want to get in, but to get in, capitalize on it. I can't stress that enough. Get in there. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Get involved. The only fear factor here should be the fact that you just simply have a fear of getting in. That's nonsense. Get involved. There are many programs. Again, Dr. Gosain laid it out, and I'm sure there's a lot more, and all of these programs and policies is going to be beneficial to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. 225-9790, the lines are open, 225-9790 or 494-0938. If you want to make a WhatsApp call, 494-0938. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Dust from the Saharan desert, over 6,000 kilometers away, travels across the Atlantic to our little island, filling the air we breathe with tiny dust particles that can trigger an inflammatory response when inhaled into the lungs.
Saharan dust travels far and triggers inflammation. Omega XL helps reduce it at the source. Support your body from within.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Cane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now, 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green-lipped muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Thank you, Master Control. Again, the lines are open, 225-9790, or you can make a WhatsApp call, 494-0938. Before we wrap up and get out of here, just looking at some of the newspaper, the TNT Blind Welfare Association has welcomed the government's announced cancellation of the Independence Day fireworks display on August 31st. It is not only an act of compassion towards animals, infants, and the elderly, but also a crucial step in safeguarding the rights, dignity, and well-being of people who who are blind and visually impaired. That's coming out from the TTBWA, the Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association. For people who are blind, sound is one of the primary tools used for orientation, safety, and independence. And sudden, uncontrolled, and excessive noise from fireworks creates disorientation, anxiety, and heightened vulnerability. Yeah, so they are saying they are thankful for that. What stood out here to me is that the fire service welcomes a halt to the Independence Day parade. The president of the fire service, he's been on this program, Mr. Keon Guy, sees a silver lining in the cancellation of the Independence Day parade and related celebrations, including the fireworks display. The FSA president told the media in a voice note in response to questions that while the fire service enjoys being able to engage with the public and put the discipline of its officers and its equipment on display, the parade puts a strain on their already limited resources. It does have a practical benefit to the fire service. Specifically, he said, it allows us to keep all available appliances at the available stations ready to respond to situations without much compromise. And someone went as far as to say, yeah, why would I miss seeing equipment that is not going to respond if I have an emergency? So well, I guess that's weighing in on it. So again, 225-9790 and 494-0938. We will take your calls at this time. Get on the inside before we pack it in for this evening's program. Again, I want to thank all our guests, the Honorable Khadija Amin, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Neil Gosine, and Consumer Rights Advocate, Mr. Trevor Austin. And of course, I did mention to you that the Minister of Culture and Community Development, the Honorable Michelle Benjamin, is under the weather, not 100%. She was very much wanted to come through, but I said, just, if you're not feeling well, just get some rest, and we will, of course, reschedule. So, again, 494-0938 and 225-9790. Well, I guess there's no one on the outside, so what I should do is look at perhaps what was said by the PNM in all of this. And that should make some people happy. I know Marvin Gonzalez had a lot to say. I know as well that others had weighed in on the issue, so maybe that's really and truly where we need to go to get that information out to you. So a lot is really doing. So Marvin Gonzalez is saying that the government must clear the air on the Independence Day parade cancellation. Former National Security Minister and People's National Movement Chairman Marvin Gonzalez says he doesn't believe that security considerations due to the state of emergency were the reason the government canceled this year's Independence Day military parade. He's now urging the government to come forward and explain their reasoning. So he wants an explanation. He wants them to clear the air, on why is it. Gonzalez challenged the explanation put forward, referring to remarks made by Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara during his appearance to the media, where he claimed the criminal threat which prompted the SOE was neutralized. So he accused the government of using the SOE as a reason to cancel the parade to conceal the real reason, which he speculated could be due to poor coordination or financial issues. Well, Marvin, one has to ask the question, if you're talking about financial issues, who drained the treasury and where the money gone? So there you have it, folks. So last call before we make our way out of here, until of course next Sunday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on Guile, and of course Real Media TT, Tigo, Facebook, YouTube. And I want to thank you so much for locking on. That brings us to the end of our program. Do have a good one and be safe out there. Until next week, Sunday, have a good one.
The Observer. Mickie Kerr, Mickie Kerr, Mickie Kerr, Mickie Kerr.